Kai stepped down from the silver transport and stood at the threshold of the Grand Throne Hall. He wore his best uniform, a crisp white tunic with Earth's emblem on the chest and dark trousers pressed with care. His boots made soft echoes on the polished floor. Ahead of him, high columns of pale blue crystal rose toward a vaulted ceiling painted with scenes of Acheran history. He held a small box wrapped in deep red silk. The cloth felt smooth under his fingers. Inside the box lay a peace orb, crafted by human hands. It was small enough to fit in one palm. Engraved on its surface were graceful lines and simple symbols that told a story of harmony. Kai drew a slow breath. His heart beat fast. He reminded himself why he had come. The long war between Earth and the Acherans had ended only a year ago. Many lives had been lost on both sides. Now Kai's mission was clear: to show goodwill and to build trust. This gift, he hoped, would open new doors. A hush fell over the hall. Court members in flowing robes stood along the sides. Their faces were calm but curious. Some had slender, pale skin. Others had soft ridges along their temples. All of them watched Kai's every move. At the far end of the hall, on a throne of clear crystal, sat Queen Eris. She wore a gown of silvery fabric that shimmered in the light. Her posture was perfect, and her eyes shone like polished stones. No one spoke. No one dared move. Kai took 2 careful steps forward. He bowed at the waist, keeping his back straight. The red silk box in his hands was both a symbol of peace and a test of fate. He lifted his head and met the Queen's gaze for a brief moment. Her face held no smile. Her lips were set in a line of cool judgment. "Your Majesty," Kai said, his voice steady even as he felt the weight of many eyes upon him. "I bring this gift from Earth. It is a token of friendship and hope." Court members exchanged quiet glances. The stillness pressed on Kai's shoulders like a cloak. He shifted the box in his hands and took another small step. Queen Eris made no move. She only watched. Kai forced himself to trust in the simple power of the gift. He had spent weeks preparing for this moment. The orb had been engraved by artisans who understood that every mark mattered. Inside, hidden panels held a light, soft and steady, that would reveal a message when activated. Kai knelt on one knee, careful not to make a sound. He extended the box toward the Queen. "Please accept this peace orb. May it remind us of what we can achieve together." For a long heartbeat, nothing happened. The flame-lit sconces on the walls flickered, casting dancing shadows on the crystal pillars. In that silence, Kai felt both hope and fear. He wondered if the Queen would laugh, or reject him, or, most daunting, simply ignore his gift. Then the throne hall held its breath. Kai stayed kneeling, head bowed. The great hall was utterly silent. Torches along the walls cast warm light on the pale blue crystal pillars. Every eye in the room was on the small red silk bundle in Kai's hands. Inside him, his heart pounded. He thought of Earth's fallen. He thought of Acherans who had died. He thought of the fragile peace that now hung by a thread. He reminded himself, this gift must work. At last, Queen Eris moved. She lifted one hand, long fingers curving like blades. 2 elite guards at her side froze in place. One stepped forward, his boots silent on the marble floor. He knelt before her and spoke in soft Acheran words. Kai did not understand, but he saw the Queen's pale eyes follow every syllable. Then Eris spoke herself. Her voice was low and calm, yet it carried to every corner of the hall. "Bring the gift to me." A wave of relief passed through Kai's chest. He rose slowly, mindful of the box. He stood and took 3 careful steps toward the throne. The silken cloth brushed his fingertips. The hall held its breath. At the foot of the throne, Kai knelt again and raised the box. "Your Majesty," he said, "I bring this peace orb from Earth. I offer it in friendship." Queen Eris regarded him without emotion. Her silvery gown pooled around her on a crystalline throne. She made no sudden move. Then one perfect hand reached out. An aide handed the box to her. Kai watched as she undid the silk knots. She peeled back the red fabric, revealing the orb. It was smooth and white, like moonstone. Fine engravings traced delicate lines around it, shapes that looked like hands joined in circle. With a single click, Eris found the hidden latch. The orb split in two halves. From its center came a gentle, pulsing light. It spilled across her hands. Gasps rose in the court. Kai's knees felt weak. He kept his eyes on the queen's face. Her lips parted slightly, as if she had not expected this. Inside the open orb, the light shaped into moving scenes. In one, human medics tended wounded Asherans on a battlefield. In another, children of both species laughed as they planted saplings in a green field. Each image lasted only moments before fading into the next. The court leaned forward. A murmured question rose, then died when the images shifted again. Kai felt tears prick his eyes. He thought of the long months he and his team had worked on this orb, crafting the engravings, programming the light panels, choosing scenes that spoke of hope. Queen Eris held the orb close. The light dimmed to a soft glow. Her pale eyes shone with something new, thoughtfulness, perhaps even wonder. She rose from the throne, the crystal steps clicking under her feet. In that moment, Kai dared to breathe freely. The first barrier had fallen. Part 2 ends here, with the orb's light still shining, and the promise that something in Eris's heart has begun to change. Kai stood as Queen Eris descended the crystalline steps. The courtroom, moments ago filled with stiff silence, now buzzed with a quiet excitement. Courtiers shifted in their robes of pale blue and silver. Kai felt each gaze on him like a gentle wind. Queen Eris kept her hand on the orb's smooth surface, its glow faint but steady. Eris paused before Kai. Her pale eyes met his with calm curiosity. "Human envoy," she said in a voice both soft and firm, "you have shown us a new path. Tell me how your people found these visions." Kai held his breath. He saw hope and doubt war within her gaze. He bowed his head slightly. "Your Majesty," he answered, "our people remember kindness even in war. We ask our artists and our engineers to work together. They chose scenes that speak of care. Then they built the orb so it could share those scenes with light and sound." He paused, choosing simple words. "We wish to show you our hearts." Eris nodded once. She raised the orb so it caught more light. The engravings glowed a little brighter. Around them, guards and aides leaned forward. A whisper passed through the court. Humans and Asherans carrying side by side. Kai felt his chest tighten with pride and fear. Suddenly, a sharp echo rolled through the hall. A single gong from the palace gate. Eris and Kai both turned. A lifelike guard rushed in, his armor clinking. "Your Majesty," he said, voice urgent, "the rebel fleet has arrived beyond the outer defense wall. They demand the Queen's surrender." Court members gasped. Eris's hand tightened on the orb. Kai felt his heart leap. He had not expected this so soon. Outside, he could almost hear distant rumble of engines and the sharp hum of energy weapons. The light from the orb wavered as if in alarm. Eris lifted her hand and called for silence. The guard fell silent even before his words ended. She faced Kai. "Human envoy," she said, "will you stand with us in this hour of trial?" Her question was more than ceremony. It was a plea. Kai pressed his hand to his chest. "I will," he said, voice firm. "I bring Earth's help and Earth's hope. Let me aid your people now." Eris bowed her head slowly. Then she turned and raised the orb high. A gentle light spread along her arm, pulsing in steady rhythm. "Let this light guide our defenders," she declared. "Let the human gift become our rallying symbol." The court broke into muted cheers. Courtiers hurried to prepare. Kai followed Eris toward the massive doors that led to the war room. As they moved, Kai caught sight of the orb's engravings shifting again, this time showing soldiers marching together in peace, not war. He realized then that the Queen had accepted more than the gift of images. She had accepted the promise they held, that humans and Asherans could face any darkness as one. Part 3 closes on Kai and Queen Eris stepping into the next challenge, united against the storm outside. Queen Eris led Kai through wide corridors toward the palace war room. Soldiers lined the walls, their armor polished to a mirror shine. Each carried the peace orb on a small pedestal. The soft glow from the orbs lit the passage with pale light. Inside the war room, holomaps of the city and the defense walls floated in midair. A ring of Asheran commanders stood around the largest map. Their faces were tense. The lead general, Mara, turned at Eris's entrance. "Your Majesty," Mara said, bowing her head. "The rebels press hard against the western wall. Our forces struggle to hold." Eris lifted the orb so its light shone on the map. Lines of light traced routes across the projected city. "We must inspire our troops," she said quietly. "Show them that hope is not lost." Then she turned to Kai. "Human envoy, we need your counsel." Kai stepped forward, his uniform crisp and clean. He fixed his voice to be calm. "On Earth, we bind our armies with symbols of unity. When soldiers see what they protect, they fight with fiercer hearts." He pointed to the orb's glow. "Let each squad carry an orb into battle. Let its light remind them of why they stand together." Mara studied Kai's face. She nodded once, sharply. "A fine plan." She ordered aides to prepare 100 orbs and deploy them. Soldiers cheered softly at the promise of a new front. Kai felt relief. He stayed close to Eris as she and Mara spoke in low tones. Outside, distant booms shook the thick stone walls. Dust fell from the ceiling in tiny clouds. Every second counted. At a long table against the wall, experts calibrated the orb's light panels. Kai knelt beside them, checking wires and switches. Though the design was human, the engineers were a mix of species. Kai greeted each with clear, respectful speech. "Make sure the light pulses steadily," he said. "It must not flicker under fire." An Asheran technician, small and quick, looked up. "Understood, envoy. We will test each one." While they worked, Eris moved among the commanders. Kai watched her quietly issue orders in measured tones. He felt admiration for her calm strength. Even in crisis, she held herself with grace. When the first batch of orbs was ready, Kai helped carry them outside. Soldiers formed ranks beneath low arches of stone. Each soldier received an orb, their faces lit by its gentle glow. Kai spoke to a young recruit, handing him an orb. "Remember what this means," Kai told him. "You fight for life and peace." The recruit's eyes brightened. "Yes, envoy," he said, gripping the orb like a lifeline. As dusk fell, the orb's glow grew stronger against the dark sky. Kai and Eris climbed a watchtower to oversee the battlefield. They saw flickering lights along the western wall, hundreds of orbs, each in the hands of a defender. Kai felt a surge of hope. He placed his hand over Eris's arm. She nodded, her pale eyes steady. Together, they watched their united front, ready to face the rebel onslaught with light as their banner. Part 4 ends with the night sky alive with orbs, lighting the way for a new dawn. Kai felt the cold night air as he stood on the watchtower beside Queen Eris. Below them, soldiers held the glowing orbs tight. The rebel force advanced under the pale moonlight. Dust rose from the ground like a gray fog. Asherans in heavy armor raised their energy shields. The shields hummed and shimmered as the rebels fired their pulse rifles. The orb's glow reflected on every shield, reminding the defenders why they stood firm. Kai watched the first wave hit the wall. Sparks flew as shots struck the crystal barriers. "Hold the line," Eris called, her voice steady and clear. She touched an orb in her hand. Its light glowed brighter for a moment, then settled into a steady pulse. All along the wall, defenders drew courage from that pulse. Kai left the tower and ran toward a breach in the western wall. He moved under low arches, past crumpled stone and scattered gear. At the breach, a young Asheran soldier lay wounded. His leg was pinned under a fallen beam. Blood stained his silver armor. Without pause, Kai knelt and pulled a compact med device from his belt. The device glowed blue as he pressed it to the wound. The soldier winced but did not cry out. Kai spoke softly. "It's okay. I'm here to help." A soft hiss and a warm glow surrounded the soldier's leg. The beam released its hold. Kai helped him up. The young soldier's eyes shone with gratitude. He clasped Kai's shoulder in a firm grip. "Thank you, human envoy," he said. "I will not forget this." Kai smiled and stood. He hurried back to the wall, where rebels pressed harder. He handed a fresh orb to a group of defenders. "Keep it close," he said. "Let it guide you." The defenders nodded and took their positions again. The orb's glow formed a line of lights along the battlement. The rebels faltered. They saw the lights and heard the human words echoing in their minds. Hope, unity, peace. The pulse rifles slowed. The rebel officers barked orders. Above the clash, Eris raised her voice. "For our people, for Earth." She led a counterattack. Asheran soldiers surged forward, shields high. They drove the rebels back from the breach. Kai joined the charge. He carried an orb in one hand and his med device in the other. He moved with calm purpose. Every step he took, the orb's glow guided him. He saw the tide turn. Rebels stumbled and fell back. By dawn, the western wall held. The rebels retreated into the desert. Sunlight touched the orbs, making them shine like tiny suns. Kai and Eris met atop the wall. They looked out at the quiet battlefield. Eris placed a hand on Kai's arm. "You have brought us more than a gift," she said. "You have brought us hope." Kai bowed his head. Behind them, soldiers cheered softly, their orbs still glowing bright. Part 5 closes on a peaceful sunrise, the orb's light marking a new beginning. The morning sun warmed the shattered plaza where Kai and Queen Eris walked among wounded soldiers and civilians. Medics from Earth and Ashera worked side by side, binding wounds and offering water. Kai paused to hand a simple first aid kit to a young Asheran nurse who bowed with gratitude and set to work with steady hands. Kingdom workers cleared broken stone from the main road. Eris stood on a low platform and spoke in calm, clear tones. "We are not alone," she told the gathered crowd. "We stand with Earth. Together, we rebuild as one people." The crowd cheered softly, their voices full of hope for the first time in many years. Some Asherans still watched Kai with suspicion. A small group whispered that humans might seek secret gain. Sensing the doubt, Kai raised his hands in peace. "I came with only one purpose," he said. "To help you heal and to learn from you. My people honor truth and friendship." His words rang true in the silent square. To show his sincerity, Kai opened a small crate of Earth-made food supplies. He offered fresh bread and ripe fruit to a waiting mother and her child. The child's eyes lit up at the taste. Laughter rippled through the crowd as families shared simple meals. Plain kindness broke down old walls more swiftly than any speech. Queen Eris lifted the peace orb before the people. Its soft light pulsed in time with her voice. "This gift reminds us of what matters most," she said. "Compassion, unity, and courage." She passed the orb to a wounded veteran. As his gloved hands closed around it, his stern face softened in wonder. By midday, village leaders and human engineers gathered in the newly cleared council chamber. Eris invited Kai to sit at her side. They discussed rebuilding the western wall stronger than before. Asheran stonemasons and Earth architects shared sketches and measurements, drawing lines of cooperation across the table. Suddenly, a palace guard reported a hidden cache of weapons left by fleeing rebels. Eris ordered the weapons secured and the rebels' names recorded. Kai promised Earth's aid in training border patrols to prevent further attacks. Though tension lingered, his calm offer of support eased many fears. Later, Kai joined a team repairing the outer wall. He lifted heavy tools alongside Asheran masons. Sweat beaded on his brow, but he smiled at every nod and word of thanks. With each stone they set, He felt the bond between their peoples grow stronger and more real. As dusk approached, Eris and Kai climbed the steps of the restored gate. In her hand, Eris held a new flag, half earth blue, half Acheron silver, stitched together by both nations' seamstresses. Together, they raised it on a tall pole. The flag fluttered against the glowing sky. Below them, the peace orb stood on a pedestal, its light steady in the growing dim. People paused in their tasks to witness this moment. Kai placed a hand on Eris's shoulder. She nodded, her pale eyes shining with pride and hope. In that shared silence, both knew a new chapter had begun, for Ashara, for Earth, and for every soul who believed in unity. Dawn broke with soft pink light over the rebuilt gate. Farmers and traders began to arrive from nearby villages, bringing goods and stories. Kai stood with Queen Eris on the city's main road, welcoming each newcomer. He greeted them in careful Acheron phrases he had learned, and they smiled in surprise and gratitude. A caravan of spice traders rolled through the gate, their wagons painted in bright colors. Eris stepped forward to meet them. "Welcome," she said, her voice warm. "May your journey here bring us new friendship." The lead trader, a tall Acheron woman, bowed deeply and offered a sack of fragrant cinnamon. "From our people to yours," she replied. Nearby, Kai arranged stalls of earth goods, simple tools, fresh fabrics, and small musical instruments. Children gathered around him as he demonstrated a hand drum's gentle rhythm. Their laughter echoed through the street, mixing with the soft beat. Kai felt joy in the shared music, a language both simple and true. At midday, Eris and Kai entered the council hall for the Festival of Unity. The hall had been decorated with garlands of silver leaves and blue flowers. A long table held dishes from both worlds, spiced Acheron stew, earth-baked goods, and a sweet fruit jelly made from local berries. Eris raised a glass of clear water mixed with a drop of earth honey. "To our new alliance," she toasted, "may it grow as strong as the trees that bind our lands." Kai lifted his glass to her. "To peace and partnership," he echoed. After the feast, musicians took their places. A human violinist played a simple melody, and an Acheron flautist joined in harmony. The music rose and fell like gentle waves. Citizens from both worlds swayed together, smiling and clapping. In a corner of the hall, Kai noticed a withheld group of senior advisors whispering among themselves. One, a stern Acheron elder, shook his head. Sensing hesitation, Kai approached politely. "Your Honor," he said, using the formal title, "may I answer any questions?" The elder paused and then asked quietly, "What can we gain from sharing our technology?" Kai replied with honest respect, "Your technology and ours each hold gifts. Together, we can heal faster, build stronger, and learn new wonders. This is not giving up your strength, but making it greater." The elder considered the words, then nodded slowly, as if a door in his mind opened. As dusk fell, the festival ended with a symbolic planting of a sapling in the city plaza. Eris and Kai took shovels and placed the first clumps of soil around the young tree. Crowds cheered softly. The sapling's leaves caught the last light of day, shining with promise. Before Part 7 closed, Kai and Eris stood side by side, watching the sapling in its new home. The peace orb atop the pedestal glowed gently at their backs. Kai turned to Eris and said, "This tree will grow as our friendship grows." She placed a hand on his arm and replied, "And we will protect it always." In that quiet moment, under the rising moon, both human and Acheron hearts felt bound together by hope and shared dreams. Part 7 ends with the sapling's first leaf unfurling, a sign that their alliance would continue to flourish. Night had fallen, and the city was bathed in soft glow from the peace orbs placed along every street. Kai walked beside Queen Eris through the moonlit plaza. Families strolled under the lamps, and laughter floated on the cool breeze. The air smelled of baked bread and desert flowers. They stopped before a tall statue of an Acheron hero from long ago. Eris placed her hand gently on the statue's base. "Our history taught us many lessons," she said. Tonight, we look forward. Kai nodded in agreement. And we carry both our pasts with respect, he added. Suddenly, a distant rumble cut the peaceful air. The crowd froze. Eris's eyes narrowed. Kai felt his heart tighten. He sensed trouble. A sleek scout ship descended into the plaza, its lights flashing red. The engine's hum echoed against stone walls. Guards rushed forward, weapons drawn. From the ship's ramp stepped an Asheran envoy, his uniform torn and face drawn with fear. Eris held up a hand. "Show him respect," she commanded, and the guards relaxed slightly. The envoy bowed deeply before the queen. "Your Majesty," he gasped. "Trouble on the northern border. A rogue faction has attacked our farms. They burned fields and took villagers." Murmurs rose among the gathered. Kai exchanged a worried look with Eris. She turned to him. "We must act swiftly," she said. "Will you help lead a relief team?" Kai straightened his shoulders. "I will," he replied. "Tell me where, and we go together." Within minutes, Kai and a squad of mixed human and Asheran guards boarded a transport. Eris stayed behind to rally more support, but she pressed the peace ore into Kai's hand. "Take this," she said. "Let its light guide you." The transport lifted off, cutting through the night sky toward the northern farms. Below them, fields lay dark and silent. Flames still flickered at the edges of crops. Smoke trailed toward the stars. When they landed, Kai jumped down first. The heat from smoldering fields made him lift his sleeve. He moved toward a group of villagers huddled near a charred barn. Their faces showed fear and weariness. "Stay back," Kai called to the guard so he could kneel among the villagers. He activated the orb. Its light spread across the area, calming the shaken crowd. He spoke softly. "We are here to help. You are safe." A small boy peeked from behind his mother's cloak, eyes wide at the orb's glow. Kai reached into his pack and pulled out water rations and blankets. He handed them to the villagers. "Take this," he said, "and we will rebuild together." Nearby, Asheran soldiers formed a perimeter, keeping watch for the rogue attackers. The orbs in their hands pulsed steadily, reminding them of the unity they fought to protect. Kai looked up at the night sky, dotted with stars. He thought of Earth's distant blue planet and felt pride in what humans and Asherans had built together. Then he smiled at the villagers, who were beginning to tend their wounded and salvage what they could. As Part 8 closes, Kai prepares to lead the villagers back to the city for safety, the peace orbs glow lighting their path through fields ready to be reborn. The journey back to the city was calm and steady under the guiding light of the peace orb. Villagers walked side by side with Asheran guards and human medics. Kai held the orb high so its soft glow lit their path across the dark fields. The charred earth was strewn with broken tools and dried stalks, but the people kept their heads high. As they neared the city gates, Queen Eris and her council waited. Eris stepped forward and raised her hand in greeting. "Welcome home," she said in her clear, gentle voice. Relief washed over the villagers, and grateful smiles spread across their faces. Eris turned to Kai. "You have done more than deliver aid, human envoy," she said. "You have shown our people that compassion shines brightest in darkness." Kai bowed his head. "I only followed your lead, Your Majesty." Inside the walls, medics set up a temporary clinic. Kai helped carry blankets and water. He knelt beside an elderly farmer whose leg was cut by shrapnel. Using his med device, Kai cleaned and dressed the wound swiftly. The old man's weathered face relaxed into a thankful nod. Nearby, children watched with wide eyes as Kai worked. He smiled and offered each a small toy from his pack, simple wooden figures carved by earth artisans. A young girl hugged her toy close, then pointed shyly at the orb's glow. Kai nodded and pressed the orb into her hands. She giggled as the light danced across her small face. In the council chamber, Eris met with village elders. They discussed plans to rebuild the northern farms stronger than before. Eris listened patiently to each suggestion: better irrigation channels, fireproof storage barns, and guard patrols. Kai joined them, placing his simple tools on the table. Earth will send more supplies, he promised. We will stand with you as you rebuild. An elder named Serin, with silver hair and a steady gaze, spoke quietly. Your help means much, Envoy. But will humans stay when all danger passes? He looked directly at Kai. Kai met his eyes without hesitation. We stay, Kai said. Our future is linked with yours. Peace is more than a gift. It is our shared path. Outside, the orb's light pulsed softly on its pedestal in the plaza. Townspeople paused to look at it, feeling its warmth. Kai walked among them, greeting each with respect. He felt the bond grow stronger with every handshake and smile. As evening fell, Eris and Kai stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Lanterns glowed below like stars on Earth. Guards marched in pairs, each carrying a small orb that glowed in time with the one on the pedestal. Kai turned to Eris. This light, he said, it has become our symbol. She smiled, pale eyes bright. Yes, she replied. It is the light of unity. May it never fade. Part 9 closes on the city at peace, its people safe under the watchful glow of the peace orb, and the promise of human and Asheran hearts shining together. Morning light bathed the city in soft gold as Kai and Queen Eris walked through the central plaza. The peace orb on its pedestal glowed gently, its pulse in harmony with the people's calm breaths. Citizens from both Earth and Ashera gathered around, their faces bright with hope. Eris raised her hand for silence. Today, she announced, we celebrate not just the end of war, but the beginning of a true alliance. Applause rippled through the crowd like waves on a quiet sea. Kai felt his chest swell with pride. A long table stood before them, covered in cloths of blue and white. On it lay gifts from both worlds, Earth's books and maps, Ashera's crystals and art. Eris gestured for Kai to speak first. He stepped forward, voice clear and warm. People of Ashera, he said, you welcomed me as a stranger and showed me your strength. You shared your struggles and dreams. Now I bring you Earth's knowledge and friendship. He handed out small volumes of human stories, each one bound in soft leather. May these tales inspire you as you have inspired us. The crowd accepted the books, thumbing their pages with curiosity. Nearby, Eris presented Kai with a handcrafted Asheran token, a silver pendant shaped like the peace orb. She placed it around his neck. For your courage and kindness, she said. Kai bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will wear this always. Next, a choir of children began to sing a song composed for the celebration. Their voices, pure and hopeful, rose above the plaza. The melody blended Earth's simple chords with Asheran harmonies. Kai closed his eyes, letting the music remind him of every step of their journey: fear, trust, battle, and unity. After the song, Eris invited artisans from both worlds to demonstrate their crafts. A human painter started a canvas with a sweeping sky, while an Asheran sculptor carved a small statue beside him. People watched in wonder as brush met paint and chisel met crystal. Kai knelt to help a group of children weave ribbons around the orb's pedestal. Blue and silver strands intertwined like living roots. A little boy looked up at Kai and asked, "Why do you help us so much?" Kai smiled gently. "Because when we help each other, we become part of something greater," he replied. As dusk approached, lanterns were lit throughout the plaza. Each carried a tiny orb inside, mirroring the great peace orb at its center. The lights shone like stars brought to Earth. In the final moments of the celebration, Eris and Kai stood side by side. They faced the people, their silhouettes framed by the glowing orbs. Eris spoke softly. "Let this day be remembered not as the end of conflict, but as the dawn of our unity." Kai nodded. "Together, we will face any challenge," he said. Under the rising moon and the steady glow of countless orbs, humans and Asherans celebrated a future built on trust, compassion, and shared light. Part 10 closes on their hands raised in partnership, a promise that as long as they stand together, peace will endure.